that's like, a sales triggering event, dude. So, meeting with people and having the conversation, and then they don't know their expertise. They don't know who they're talking to. They don't know what the major pain points are of their ideal target market. Any sort of show, long form content strategy that you're going to have, it's just not going to be successful because, again, and I do say this often, you're never going to outspend Edward Jones. You're never going to outspend Ken Fisher. You're never going to outspend Susie Orman. You're never going to outspend these people in their marketing thing. So you really have to laser focus your niche. And from that, now we have that foundation. Now you can start doing all of these other things. So if you have not figured that out, please, and I feel like a broken record with this, Kirk, but please go to our academy and go through Branding 101 and go through the brand building worksheet that we have so that you can find out exactly how and who you need to talk to. Because once that's done, everything else Kirk and I are going to talk about today is going to flow like a river. Hello and welcome to another Top Advisor Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Halloran. Okay, so we got a big one for you today because we're really going to be talking about an influence marketing strategy. So this is going to be for over 2 years. Kirk and I are going to go through all of the different things. Now, there are a lot of things here, all of the different things that you need to do to truly accelerate your influence and make your content marketing strategy really work for you. And Kirk, before we hit record, you were saying something. Let's make sure everybody listens to what you were saying.
Well, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and today in this episode, year one, which I call is building your foundation for influence. And there are a bunch of tactics here. This one, I would probably say you want to do everything that's here. Yeah. There could be stuff that you want to add, but this is a really solid list based on experience and many years of expertise, experience, all that stuff. So we're going to share that with you today. I wish I'd shared this sooner, to be honest. Sometimes where I guess more where I sit in my role helping, ProudMouth, is that I forget how the little things, the day-to-day things, the little details can add so much value to your guys' world. And I want to make sure that we do that. And hopefully today is just fills that rate up again. So if it feels like I need to do more of this, I'm going to catch up today, hopefully. Some really good stuff.
Well, and also please everybody understand, so there are things that you can add and subtract and all of those different components. We're going to give you a great list here that you can either, again, expand or contract, add whatever you need to do in order to make this yours. Okay, Kirk. So we have to start from the foundational stuff, which is what?
We do. So there's 7 items here. Don't get too hung up on where we transition from one idea to the next. These are just a huge, wonderful list of things that you should be doing to build your influence foundation. So the first one is define your positioning. If you try to get ahead of yourself before you know who you're going to be or who you are and who you work with, so understand your audience, target audience, and their most pressing problems. You really have to know people. If you're not really sure, or you're just winging it, or you're guessing, or you don't have enough experience to really know, you got to figure it out as quick as you can. It really isn't a great place to be if you get ahead of yourself there and you realize, boy, I just spent the last year working on something. Now, the good thing about getting it, moving in the content marketing direction to build influence is that the practice that you get doing that will always be valuable. So I'd say you never really blow it by not killing it, right?
Yeah.
With your audience, because you're always learning and moving forward. But not a lot of people that I know, particularly with the audiences that we typically work with, professional experts, really give themselves a lot of credit for learning. They don't think learning is on the ROI spectrum, which we call return on influence. Matt's talked about that lots on this podcast. So define your positioning, understand their most pressing problems, and how your expertise uniquely solves their problems. If you can't lead with that, then what's your podcast going to be about?
Yeah.
Who are you going to be about? And I'm guessing you've seen this before, Matt, where people don't, don't hit that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then there's people who probably hypothesize for years on that and never get started.
Yeah.
I'm teeing you up to here, buddy.
It's just, I'm sorry, that's like, a sales triggering event, dude. So, I mean, meeting with people and having the conversation, and then they don't know their expertise. They don't know who they're talking to. They don't know what the major pain points are of their ideal target market. Any sort of show, long form content strategy that you're going to have, it's just not going to be successful, because again, and I do say this often, you're never going to outspend Edward Jones. You're never going to outspend Ken Fisher. You're never going to outspend Susie Orman. You're never going to outspend these people in their marketing things. So you really have to laser focus your niche. And from that, now we have that foundation. Now you can start doing all of these other things. So if you have not figured that out, please, and I feel like a broken record with this, Kirk, but please go to our academy and go through Branding 101 and go through the brand building worksheet that we have, so that you can find out exactly how and who you need to talk to. Because once that's done, everything else Kirk and I are going to talk about today is going to flow like a river.
Yeah. If you need some guidance, you want to make sure that you've got it right. Good ideas, go to Academy, take the courses, show up to office hours, which we call ask an expert now. And we'll give you, feedback, thoughts, and point you in the right direction. If you feel like you need a lot of hand holding to get there, the other thing to do would be to go hire a professional. Go talk to somebody who you really admire their brand and their niche audience of that. Ask them how they, who helped them, and figure that out. And sometimes you got to spend some money if you either don't want to do the work, or you feel like you're too close to really understand that. And that happens too. Sometimes, in our own brand, it's, we've hired people for years to help us, and I've built, hundreds of brands, and it's good to have help with your own stuff. So that's the first thing. The second one is build your brand and expertise. So once feel really good about the target audience, the level of niche specificity you've delved into, understand their problems, how you're going to solve them. Now you're in a position of strength to build that brand, and then circle your expertise around solving that problems for that audience. And so you need to create a brand identity that resonates with your niche and demonstrates your authority in that field. And when you're building a brand, there are different ways to do it. And this is all in our course, but you can build a brand that is unique and creates a new conversation, or you can build a brand that's descriptive. So if you're doing something really interesting, you might want to be descriptive so they understand who they are and how you solve it. But if you're in a commodity stuff, you might want to have a new angle. So kind of create some new language. And so those are kind of two different aspects that I've talked about for many years, and depends on your situation, which one you want to go with. Right. So ProudMouth is, there's lots of media marketing companies. ProudMouth is it's a new term, right? And we're talking about acceleration and influence, which are known to a degree, but not always the way we do it. So we're a little bit descriptive and a little bit intriguing, like out there as far as the name we created. And then be your own loud, which is, one of the key phrases that we use all the time, is supposed to be inspirational, and really at the core and the heart of what we do is we want to help you get your voice out into the world so that people understand your expertise, who you love to help, your passion, your personality, your purpose, all that stuff. So just think about all those things when you're creating that brand. Okay. Do not cheap out on your brand identity. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times, Matt, I'm just going to ask you the question, Matt. How many times when you were either out in the world or in calls or on webinars, do people say, I love the ProudMouth logo or the brand? It's just, it grabs me.
It's all the time. It's gotten to the point, Kirk, where, people in sales calls and at meetings, are saying, you're the friendly neighborhood influence and podcasting expert. Hey, I want to rise above the noise. I want to be my own loud. I don't want to be the best kept secret. I mean, all of our branded language that, escape. I've had people say escape velocity, Kirk. So, and the power is knowing that branded language and using it repeatedly so that it gets into the psyche of your ideal client, which is what you want to do, with this whole influence strategy,
Yeah.
right?
I was talking to somebody the other day. I think it may have been Nicole, our head of marketing here. And we were talking about the icon on your shirt, my shoulder, your shoulder. By the way, we got to get your little bobblehead doll with a proper logo on his chest.
Yeah, we should do
You
that.
won't probably be able to see it. He's
Yeah.
a little on the small side.
I can move it down the shelf, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, and we were talking about the cost. I think this logo was designed by a guy in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, for those of you who don't live in Canada. And I believe it was $4,000, $3,000 to $4,000 Canadian. That's what you pay. That's still fairly inexpensive, but if you find somebody who's really creative, who really gets what you want to do, and that's what you spend, that's just the way it is. I mean, I think that's actually fairly inexpensive, but the guy did an incredible job, built some other logos for us. So the Pod Rocket Academy, so the rocket microphone, did that, the flames, some other stuff like that, did a great job. Do not cheap out on that brand identity. Choose some great colors that you love. Our colors are not that new as a palette, but they're strong and they're powerful, and that's what you want. And they have good accents. I think I always want to have good accents with colors. Anyway, we're never going to get through this podcast if I keep giving all these little tidbits. So number 3, because what do we have? Oh my goodness. We got to
we're 10 minutes in and you're on number 3, dude. So.
Okay. I'm going to speed it up, everybody. Number 3, launch a show. So that show can either be a podcast or a vodcast or whatever you want to call it, videocast, webcast. You have to plan your 12 topics for either for the first 6 months or the first year, whatever your cadence is going to be. You need to record those episodes, publish them on your website and your podcast platform. Make sure you publish them on your website and lead people to your website. On your website, then you can say, if you regularly they know how to look it up in their podcast player. You don't have to send them there. Send them to your website because you want the traffic. You want them to see other stuff. You want them to sign up for your newsletter, download a white paper, download a checklist, whatever it is. Make sure you do that. I still see it all the time for people who podcast who don't put it on their website, and that's a no-no. Okay, number 4, atomic content. So you want to atomize. Matt and Jessica on our team have done a really incredible job with an atomic content webinar, which is on our YouTube channel. And that was very highly regarded. We got a lot of incredible feedback from doing that. It really is what ProudMouth became known for doing, is like the core thing we did was, record your show, atomize, basically create all kinds of micro content from that, and then push that content out on a regular basis that shows your educational entertainment value that you get your audience, and you're just constantly top of mind with people. And we'll get into it in a sec. You sprinkle in some personal stuff along the way. So make sure you launch a show. Atomic content. So you can do that with video clips. You can do that with take quotes. You can just write social media posts about it without just pure text. But you want to repurpose the podcast, pull it apart, get the key stuff out of it, and turn that into clips for YouTube, social media, and then you can even do promo emails.
Yep.
Or just emails. You can do an email that says, here's our latest episode, here's the key talking points, here's what you're going to learn, here's the resources, whatever. Here's our guest. So all that stuff. So you want to atomize that content, create video clips, social media posts, email, other things. Okay. Number 5, new content and webinars. So you want to create new webinars and lead magnets based on podcast episode topics. Sometimes you can look at the data, so the analytics, choose things that you seem to do well, or things that did well on social media. So it's not just how well did it do on YouTube or how well it did on your podcast player, but how well did it do on social media? Look for stuff that engages and create webinar content from it. So we know atomized content, our atomic content webinar was a huge success. And we have other ones all the time so we're changing those more frequently now. So there's a ton of value coming. So make sure you go to our website and sign up for the webinars, and follow us on social media so that you can catch up on when we do those. I think we do
two a month.
2 a month. Yeah. So every 2 weeks. Number 6, start a monthly blog. So if you don't like writing a lot, you can take your podcast or vodcast and transcribe it and turn it into a short blog. I really favor, for a blog post, not everybody will agree with me, which is fine. I like both long and short versions, but the too long didn't read version, that's less than 500 words, maybe even, in the 250, 300, if you can really get it down to that, I think is a great idea. So don't just think about a blog post being some, an 800 to 1200 word article. You don't have to do that all the time. In fact, I think the TLDR is, a lot of people are really respecting that. If you've ever read the book, is it Working Backwards, Amazon? No. What's the book where they talk about Axios, where they have a writing method, and they basically have a writing method that gets right to the point. And it was made for like busy executives to catch up on everything going on in their world that they had to know about. And so they created this really incredible, or is it the Bezos Blueprint book? I apologize, everybody. I should try to get that and put it in the notes. But this idea of writing shorter content that really gets to the point, so people know what to do with the content and can actually act on it without having to read the long version, is a powerful, powerful mechanism. So think about writing less, but succinct, and get right to the point. People are going to love that.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, how about you do this in this podcast, bud? Okay. Number 7. So repurpose blog content. So UAs, you can, once you get that blog content or the transcription, this is kind of a little bit going back to atomic content, but you can use that content in that blog to cut that up as well. Maybe just take the key points, throw that out as social media posts. Okay.
Yeah. So content begets content, right? And once you start using this atomic content method that we talked about, you're going to start seeing content everywhere. And I got one other tip, and then we're going to kind of switch to the next level here, which would really almost be the next atmosphere that we're going through in our escape velocity. But if you are sitting there thinking to yourself, God, I don't know what to talk about, ask the freaking internet. And I am not kidding. Type into Google or ChatGPT or whatever large language model you're using and say, what are the top 10 biggest concerns of this target market when it comes to what you do as a financial advisor, as per the most searches in Google, Yahoo, whatever Bing you use. The internet's going to tell you what your ideal client is looking for on the internet. Use that as your blog content. Now, Kirk,
you could have shared that on point 1, define your positioning.
Yep.
So everybody take that. That's beautiful knowledge. And Matt has really sharp with little things like that. How do you use what's already out there to quickly move forward? So great.
I think it's an inherent laziness, Kirk. I want to be able to make it to.
Yeah. A lot of incredible businesses have been built based out of that mindset.
Yeah.
Right. So embrace your laziness and find ways to be more efficient.
Just hack it. They're growth hacks, man. But okay, so now we're going to activate. So we
except you can't growth hack authority.
Yeah.
Like you can find little things that can accelerate it.
Right.
But you got to show up every day and be there and do that work. But you can make it a lot easier. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. We're activating now. So we've laid the foundation. The rocket is on a pad that's not going to break. Now we need to get that rocket to start taking off. Take it from there.
So this is a really cool way to look at it. I guess you could call it a influence hack. Is if you need to create lead magnets. You need owned audience. You can't just leave your audience on your social channels because you don't own that. They do. right? So that means if they shut down, you don't have any contacts, or if they ban you or whatever. So what I would like to say is plan ahead for creating a lead magnet. So here's what I mean. If you got 12 topics, how about section them in fours as an example? Maybe the first four are a little bit, unique because you're kind of you want to lay a foundation, but maybe the next from 5 to, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, take those and make them about one topic. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a 4-part series, but do 4 things that really work well together. And then take the transcripts, and create a white paper from them, or a checklist, like a thorough checklist. Put that on your site. Go back, add that as a mid-roll ad and say, hey, download it, or put it in your summary, or talk about it in your social media. Send it out as an email. Hey, would you like this checklist? Well, I guess if it's going out in email, then you've already got their email, but get their email address from all your people on social media, or people are showing up to your webinars, things like that. And that's a great way to plan ahead to create a lead magnet. So a lead magnet, not really a big fan of the word sometimes, but everybody understands what it is. And you then go in Canva and design this thing. It doesn't have to be super fancy. Just make it look good and have it in a place where you can control making adjustments if you want. If you send that away to a designer, then they control that. So if you do hire a designer, get them to design in your Canva account so your team can go in and quickly, maneuver it, because you don't want to pay them every time or wait. You're going to say something?
Yeah, I did because Canva's got templates, right? So if you need to make a white paper or a checklist, they literally have things that you just plug and play. You can use your color schemes. I mean, now I firmly believe everybody should be paying for Canva, because I know the free version's great, but once you upgrade to the paid version, the things that you have accessible to you are really unbelievable. In fact, Kirk, the next one, point number 9, is something else you can even do in Canva, which is really powerful.
Yes. So number 9 is short videos. So produce short videos from blog posts, from key points, from webinars, and turn them into YouTube shorts and throw them in your social media, and design them in different ratios so that you can use them in different mediums, and that'll fit the social medium that you're using, right? Instagram's different than you could use Instagram style portrait in LinkedIn, but LinkedIn prefers wider, as an example. I think so. Anyway, so think about all that stuff. I don't do that every day. Our team does here, but just think about creating it in multiple sizes and formats. Okay. So short videos, those can be, we talked earlier about pulling clips from your podcast, but these ones you can just do, I call them concept videos, just to differentiate. But the concept videos would be, something that was really catchy that you can expand on a little bit and just encapsulate it in its own little, and how long should those be? I'd say anywhere from a minute to 3 minutes typically. Yep. But I've seen people do 15-minute concept videos where they're explaining something a lot more complicated. They got a whiteboard. That's really up to you. I think small content that leads to big content is a wonderful strategy to have, right? So number 10, keyword strategy. So research and use keywords relevant to your audience and hashtags, titles, and meta descriptions. So Matt already talked about going to the Internet of Things, so chat or Google search, and just asking it for stuff. So you can do the same thing with keywords. There are keyword tools. You can go look for those and find out what your audience are talking about, so you can use their language to draw them in. So that'll help you with SEO. It'll help with topics, all that kind of stuff. Number 11 is website and social media. So make sure that you've got a great website that speaks to your brand, that's in alignment with what your content's going to be. It makes it easy for them to come to your site and go to your social profiles, showcases your niche, showcases your content, and has a strong brand. And it's just an easy place. You don't need to have a massive website just talking about everything you do. I love the idea when people put on their process on their website, like, this is how we work. If you can't define how you work, I find that it lacks professionalism. I think people want to have some understanding of how you like to work and what they can expect from you. Before I could get into this and go on for hours, obviously, about websites and social media, but make sure you've got a great website. Simple. I'd start as simple as you can that has more content and brand focused, and stay away from all the details about exactly, here's how we do investment finance. Here's our investment philosophy. Just keep it simple and move people forward.
I think that's one of the big issues that a lot of advisors have. And we've joked about this for years, is that, one of the things that makes a great financial advisor doesn't necessarily make them a great marketer, which is that they overthink things and they think that it needs to be as complete as a financial plan or an investment portfolio. That's not what marketing needs to do. And Kirk, this is something that I learned from you early on. Interesting, but incomplete information: attract, intrigue, engage, and influence, right? So that's really still with all the foundational stuff that we've been talking about really since episode 1. This stuff really works. So we're going to chunk this out. Originally, I thought this was going to be a 2-part podcast. It's actually going to be 3. So this is part 1. And the next episode, we're going to dive much, much deeper into this next level of escape velocity. When we came up with this whole idea of escape velocity and the rocket ship and all of those things, there are, 7 atmospheres that we identified, which is really there's 9, which is the 9 podcast growth strategies that we've built. But now we've expanded
7 drivers of influence.
7 drivers of influence with the 9 podcast growth strategies. And I'm sure that there are lots more things. And that's why we wanted to start laying this foundation, because you can say, man, I really like what, Kirk said there with this. I really like this here. Oh, I'd love to add this within this checklist. So, next episode, and I'm not done yet with you, Kirk, so you don't go anywhere, but the next episode, we're really going to start talking about some other strategies that we technically, really not just technically, we don't do here at ProudMouth for our clients. But it's things that we know that the foundation that we help you build in our managed influence services or with our PodRocket Influence Academy are going to make it so that you can build all sorts of other stuff on that. So Kirk, why don't you take a second, preview a little bit of what the next episode is going to be about so that we can make sure people tune in.
Yeah, we're going to talk about expansion, and these lots of these things are in our academy. So they're not things that we do for people with our managed service, but they are things that we help people understand how to do for themselves. So how to expand and start growing beyond that first section. What we just went through is really like a little more organic. Mm-hmm. This one, we're going to start doing more event-based, stuff. So we'll talk about that, like how to go a little bit deeper and richer, and how to hook them in and keep them engaged once you've got a known audience. And then how to start scaling, I guess, is a better way to say it. It's like expand your reach, things like that. So that will be what we get into next week. And then we're going to do a third one where we're going to get into a lot of nitty-gritty details into year 2 and year 3 of this plan. So what we're really talking about now is we're basically about a third of the way through year 1. Mm-hmm. And you start seeing, man, this is a lot of work. It is. So you can find ways to shorten that or accelerate it, but it's still a bunch of stuff. But that's marketing.
That's right.
If you're growing a business, you have to put the time in. It doesn't grow without you spending a lot of time and years at doing thoughtful investing in marketing. So we'll see you on episode.
Yeah, well, the second and third. We haven't done a mini series in a long time, dude. But so as we wrap this up, if you're really truly trying to build something that is bigger than just you have to do this stuff. If you look at the people in financial services who have been the most successful, who have billions of dollars of assets under management, or the life that they really want to live from a lifestyle practice, they've invested a lot of time and a lot of money, more importantly, a lot of time into making sure that the brand develops. We are constantly reinforcing our brand message. We are constantly investing money into great marketing, into great people, into great opportunities, so that we can go ahead and help more financial services professionals rise above the noise and be their own loud. You want to do the same thing for your niche within your specific community, whether that's geographically constrained or philosophically constrained. And the only way you can do that is you got to put in the reps, right? You got to practice, you got to do it, you got to review it, you got to do it again, and you got to keep trying new things. There is no magic bullet when it comes to marketing. If anybody's telling you that, they are lying to you. Anybody who's telling you that they can 10x you within 30 days, 90 days, a year, they're lying to you. This is long-term growth. This is how this works. This is the game that you have to be willing to play. Then if you're willing to play it, everything fundamentally changes. When you hit escape velocity that Kirk and I have been talking about for so long, and your marketing feels effortless and weightless, not that there isn't any work, but it just becomes so easy. That's what all of you want to get to, but it does take the time. If you just say, oh my God, we got through a third of year one and I'm already overwhelmed. Listen, this is what we do every day, all day for people just like you. And if you have any questions, you can message me through LinkedIn, or you can just go ahead and email me. Most of you know what my email address is because it's easy. It's matt@proudmouth.com. So Kirk, any final thoughts before we go?
No, this is powerful stuff. Hopefully a little bit of detail is helpful to you guys. If you have any feedback, let us know. Let us know what else you want. What do you need more work on or detail on or support in? Start conversing with us. Matt is on social media. I'm on social media. Our team are. Just ask us questions.
So anyway, everybody, listen, thank you very much. We appreciate all of you, and we'll see you on the other side of the mic very soon.